role of strategic sourcing in long-term partnership with suppliers. This will be conducted by, again, Mr. Yashpal Narang, Director of Procurement, JLL India. Let me give a small brief about him. Mr. Yashpal Narang, AGM of Sales at Aparjita Corporate Services.
Some type of say hi everyone. I'm with JLL working as Director of Procurement with around more than 3 decades of experience in vendor procurement, strategic sourcing, all those activities. And at this moment, can the slide be presented? Slide? Okay. So I would like to build on whatsoever has been explained for various partners, vendors, whatsoever you call them. The only thing which I can say is most of the sourcing organizations which work, the mindset they start with what they can get for their own organizations. This is a basic concept, basic thought built on, and actually this is the driving force for them because they have to manage the sustainability of the organization, they have to manage the stakeholders, profits, and all those things. So the basic concept or basic thought of all strategic sourcing team members is again, how can they drive the savings, how can they drive different aspects of their organization. As Mr. Gupta already said that it's when you try to spend high on sustainability, it's a CFO's question as well, what is the savings you're going to do is the most common question from the sourcing team members in any organizations. So with that saying, I would like to spend 2 minutes on what is actually strategic sourcing and how it differs from a sourcing or a procurement normal process. Basic concept is same, which I expect the most of experienced people to know about is that strategic sourcing goes on with around 7-8 steps of sourcing, wherein the general sourcing which builds upon 4 steps. So the basic 3 additional steps is defining the category, doing a deep market analysis, and finding the potential bidders for the RFP you're going to float in the market are the most critical things which are important in the strategic sourcing process, which are not in the repeat or normal sourcing which we do. So the first thing which is defining the category is most of the organizations do use the tools like risk and spend analysis and putting a 4-blocker where different strategies are defined for different sourcing aspects. It could be consolidation of vendors, it could be price reduction, it could be reducing the risk of that item in terms of if it is a high risk and high spend item, or otherwise standardization of the items could be one of the strategies, or nowadays the things are changing to sustainable sourcing as well. So with say 20 years back or 30 years back, the sourcing core objectives were find the vendors who can give at low cost, continuous delivery, and the quality we deserve. These were the basic 3 parameters on which sourcing was defined and they used to work upon. But in the agile nature of sourcing, with the changing needs of the customers, changing needs of the organization, risk mitigation, legal term discussions, sustainable sources, all those factors have led to the need of strategic sourcing in the market, and that's why I would say the credibility as well as the importance of the sourcing has grown up. So when we speak upon vendor partners, so initial word, again 20 years, 30 years back, we used to generally call them as suppliers. But now things are changing. Those suppliers are not pure suppliers, but we have started calling them vendor partners. So they are our partners in terms of our success in the market, because they do supply us the core components. They do, as explained by Ravindra, they are the partners who are expertise, who are supporting them as us as consultants. So now their definition from a supplier has changed to vendor partners now. So with that thing, and the sourcing is not buying things, it is more of creating value. So that is the aim of strategic sourcing. What we think upon is the benefit. It is a win-win situation or win-win solution for the organization as well as the vendor partner. So what I have explained the pointers which we can go through. Yes, it is fostering a long-term partnership, a win-win solution. When we do strategic sourcing and when we do a vendor shortlisting, the step we do in detail is discussing our main aim or main strategy with the vendor partners. So they do understand what is our right concern and right strategy. They just don't think of that we need a cost-effective product. They know the right reason why we are coming to them. So they work upon the same direction. We have same thought process, and with that thing, it's a mutual benefit. It's a partnership, as I explained, and it's a mutual benefit. It's a win-win situation for both vendor partners as well as the buying organization. And strategic sourcing is generally done for, I'll use the word high impact item. It's not high spend, it's more of high impact things, high impact. It could be low value, but it has got a strategic role to play in our component or our final product or our say compliance things. So if the vendor partner who is giving us that services or that component is giving us a high impact, we always follow strategic sourcing detailed process. So understanding the vendors, discussing in detail with the vendors, having a mutual understanding, detailed understanding, this definitely leads to a better collaboration. Definitely the target is to have a cost avoidance and a low cost product, or I would say high value in terms of the spend which we are going to give the vendors. It may be an innovation which may be a benefit to both of us. So when I say are these benefits to the vendor partners? No. The benefits which we are deriving has to be with the thought that the benefits are there for our own organization as well as the vendor partners, because we are targeting our strategy solutions, we are targeting a long-term solution with the vendor partners. We are definitely targeting that both the organization and the vendors grow along with, and with current scenario when the cost of replacement of strategic vendors is increasing day by day. So when you have a sourcing solution implemented, switching over from one sourcing solution to another solution is a high cost matter. When you have a strategic solution or a strategic partner where you have gone with the JV with that vendor partner, or you have our own stake in the partner's investments, then the cost of switchover becomes high. So definitely a collaborative, a long-term impact, a long-term relationship has to be kept in mind. Benefits for both the organization has to be kept in mind. And with the same thing which has already given the brochure, which I have just copied and pasted in the last 4 points, includes value engineering, process improvements, joint initiatives in cost reduction, efficiency improvement, like Ravindra said, it could be expertise in some category or something which we don't have it, or maybe outsourcing our non-core activities could be the strategy. So all those are the mutual benefits which we gain with the strategic sourcing process. As explained, it involves collaboration, higher level of engagements rather than a normal sourcing or a normal procurement process. As explained, it definitely intends reducing risk, increasing more compliance, maybe a long-term business plan. The risk could be geopolitical risk, a risk could be a compliance risk, could be a say delivery risk. So whatsoever risk is identified to have that strategy for that vendor partner or that component or the service itself has to be mitigated. And the KPIs has to be agreed, the complete contract management, thanks to the vendor partners who have explained upon contract outsourcing and contract management things. So with AI coming in and with these expertise available in the market, that contract management can definitely help us identifying those KPIs, those SLAs, those mitigating factors which have to be discussed, mutually agreed upon, implemented and managed for the strategy which we have actually thought and agreed with the vendors. So this is something which I explained at the 7-step process. The normal process does have start from step number 4, where we already know our partners, we already have the standard terms and conditions which we agree, execute and benchmark. But the first 3 steps are generally implemented when there is a strategic sourcing involved. But summarizing the benefits in bullets here, it's just the same thing. And definitely there are some challenges in the implementing the strategic sourcing in the market. Those challenges is the most common being, which is being overtaken nowadays, is poor supplier insight, specifically in countries like in India, where the low talent suppliers or there are proprietorship organizations or non-organized sectors. So the supplier data is not rightly available. So when we go for strategy sourcing, definitely it involves comparatively much higher time, and with the multiple factors or multiple thoughts built in, it definitely involves a higher cost for a better quality. So that becomes a challenge in most of these cases. Compliance is something which is becoming challenging with ever-changing scenario, more regulatory norms, the market scenario being changes, more competitors getting in. So compliance and sustainability, from a desire, it is becoming a regulatory affair in many of the countries. So things are needed to have a better compliant vendor, and with the fluctuating demand for that product. So the product life cycle as on today has changed a lot. A technological product 20 years back used to last 5 years, 7 years, when we had a watch or something that we could have it for 5-10 years. But nowadays, a technological product like a mobile phone has a life cycle of 18 months. People change in 18 to 24 months at the max. So the demand is changing with expectations of the customers. So with that thing in mind, when we think of strategy sourcing, sometimes we think of a very long-term strategy. But with nowadays, it depends on product to product. We prefer to have RCs. I'll just share an example. We prefer to have rate contracts or rate agreements with most of suppliers to have a long-term stability and hedging the risk. But it becomes difficult when we are going to have a rate agreement with a technology product vendor, because the pricing and the technology changes after 12 months to 18 months at the max. So the cycle is different. So we have to definitely identify the first most important step, which is to have the benefit is the 3 steps, which do involve a lot of efforts. If we are ready to invest in those efforts, and both the vendor partners and the organization are definitely going to benefit. That's all I had. Open to questions if any. So if no questions, I think I'm done. Thank you.
I request Mr. Sanjay Gupta, can we have you over the stage? And please present a small token of appreciation to Mr. Yashpal Narang. So please join us.